So, hey guys, welcome to another edition of Costa Rica Crypto. I have the pleasure of chatting with somebody who I admire and I like a lot, Dallas Rushing. Today we're going to be chatting about karma. And man, thanks for making the time. I really appreciate it.
Man, thank you for having me, man. Like I said, you reached out in Telegram, and I had saw the, I saw your post that you put on Reddit where you said, I think you said you had sort of like a not a negative perception, but you sort of like negative feelings about karma first, and then you looked into it, and then now you really like it. So that caught my attention. I thought that was really cool. Just your honesty and whatnot. So I wanted to connect, and you asked to be on, so I wanted to do it, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm super stoked to have you here, buddy. Been a big fan for a long time, and I just think I like the way that you bring things to light, but you do it in a way that kind of the common investor who isn't like a techie, and the common investor who just is just kind of getting into yachts can still digest, but you also present some really good facts. So, and that's kind of true, man. Like I'm just gonna level with you here, and I'm gonna be honest with you, right? First saw the Karma app, and I was like, oh no, like what is this thing? And I only thought that because I didn't have like a good grasp on what you were doing, but I had watched you and I knew you were a good guy, and I knew you had some good perspective. So I went over to your website and I started digging through the white paper, and I've actually like flipped a few times. I've even flipped since we've talked, right? So I thought at first I was like, oh man, I rule. And then I went through the paper and I kind of thought like, this could be really big in the sense that that people could cut out the charities that they were working with. You kind of talked about it, and it's in your white paper too. There's an immense amount of expense that goes into running some of these charities, and a lot of money is getting tossed out the door, man. People are getting paid big salaries. You got advertising and marketing and all sorts of stuff. And when I started thinking about it, I was like, this is the opportunity for somebody who wants to self-fund a charity. And then we talked again yesterday, and you opened something up that won me over immediately, and there's no going back. And what that was just enabling people in developing countries to make money like professional do-gooders. Do you kind of want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like, I think it's because that kind of takes it sort of back to the beginning, right? So, you're in Costa Rica. I'm not too far from you. I'm in Medellin, Colombia. So I know there's some cultural similarities to where we're both at and whatnot, but I definitely, I understand you, man. If you made the trip from the States, I'm assuming you're from the States, right?
I'm actually from Canada, so born and raised in Canada.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So my friend that he's on the Karma team as well. He's the co-founder. He's from Canada as well too. So cool. But got the Canada connection. But here, man. I mean, we're like, even right now as I'm talking to you, right? So I'm looking out into the city where we're at, and a lot of Latin American countries are sort of, and countries just generally, right? Like with how the cities are set up, we're kind of up here, and there's, a lot of apartment buildings. And then everywhere I look out, man, if you really get down into those neighborhoods, I think you said you saw that video we did the other day where we gave those soccer balls away. Super fun. But you go into a lot of those neighborhoods, man, and these people are, they're awesome. Like they're happy. They're in a good mood. They're making life work for them, but they don't have a lot. You know what I mean? And like, yet they're still motivated, and I think that sometimes people just need like the right tool or something like that, right? Or something that they can sort of maximize their efforts and everything that they're doing. So kind of what we were thinking, right? I mean, so for me, again, I think it's more important to look at it like they're earning karma more so than earning money per se, because with karma, right, you can do a lot of different things with it, which we can get into, and I'm sure we will a little bit later. But really what I'm thinking, man, is like, I think Costa Rica is probably not too different, but here I think minimum wage is like $200, $250 a month. I mean, that's not even $10 a day. You know what I mean? So, we've had the privilege of looking at prior things like Steemit, to sort of see as a model of what worked, what didn't work. And I think to ignore the things that worked from Steemit would be completely foolish, right? And then to not change some of the obvious things that I think, may hinder the growth of Steemit long term. To not fix those things, I think, would be irresponsible. So we're trying to sort of learn from that, and find a better solution. And like, I know for me, right? I mean, I put my YouTube videos on Steemit, make a few bucks, you know what I mean? And I have almost no following on there. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, if people had a way to earn, something of value, you know, for not just like going to work and going to some job where, you know what I mean? Like you're not really feeling fulfilled and you're not really maximizing like the goodness that you could kind of be doing right in the world. But sort of flipping that to where you could just take action yourself, you know, inside of an app that has cool ideas for you as well if you can't think of ideas, which is another cool feature we can talk about later. And then actually go out there in the world and help people, right? And so you're helping yourself because you have the, you know, the opportunity to receive some, you know, some tokenized reward for that. But the action you did, you're going to feel better. You'll feel inspired. You helped other people out. I mean, like, I think you're in the Karma Ambassador group, and somebody put a video in there today, and man, it was awesome. I don't know if you watched that one yet, but super cool. And like, I just kind of hit me. I was like, man, it's so fun to know that, like, you know, it's like kind of at the start of what I hope is a really big movement, you know, and people just sort of get inspired and excited to kind of one up each other and just keep doing good in the world. And I think eventually if we keep doing that, we'll head in the right direction. That's my thinking.
I think, you know, I think so too. And it's funny because I can totally relate to you. Like I came to Costa Rica, and you know, like, you know, we do okay. Like we've got some other businesses that are going on and stuff like that. But just to relate to you on that level, like there are people here, man, and they have nothing. I mean, like, honestly, man, they've got nothing. And the crazy thing that really surprised me about that is the fact that they've got nothing and these people are happy. Like
right?
Just, it's, dude, crazy. Yeah, it flipped my values upside down. I was like, what am I missing in life that's keeping these people fulfilled? Well, there's some of these, and some of them do quite well, but a lot of them, they scrape by on a daily basis, man. You know what I mean? They don't know where their next meal is coming from. These people have a smile on their face. And like, I see like kids kicking around this soccer ball that's made of like tape. And they, you know what I mean? The family's down there and dude, they're happy. Like they're happy. And I think that like when I really started to think about kind of the ability for people, you know, whether it be in Costa Rica, whether it be in Colombia, whether it be in Venezuela or, you know, Thailand or Laos, people don't have a lot of advantages. And I think that I like this because it provides, like you said, it provides a way to be able to supplement some money, but like in such a sense that the actions that these people are taking can potentially change the world, you know? And yeah. It wasn't until I really saw how you structured it. I want to talk about the use cases for Karma here pretty quick, but when I started to see the way that you kind of found ways to filter out abuse and to encourage like the right people to do the right things and to get rewarded for it, that's when I really changed my mind. Do you want to talk about some of the use cases of Karma and what it really boils down to?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touched on a really good point, man. And if I said I made this up, I'd be lying. I think I heard this from Dan Larimer, but I think he just said it's more important to incentivize good actions than focus on punishing bad actions. Because, you know, generally speaking, I don't know. I mean, like, it depends who you ask. I know a lot of people like to think that, you know, the majority of people aren't good per se. But like at the end of the day, what does majority mean? Majority means 51% or more. So technically, mathematically, that means one of us is a horrible guy, right? And I think that's probably closer to not true, right? So, you know what I mean? I think, especially with my experience and yours, like you said down here, right? Most people you meet are really good people. And, you know, you set up those incentive structures. And I think for anybody watching, this is something we like the team that's you know worked on Karma thus far, and anyone who's going to work on it from now until the end of time, because it'll be, you know, completely open source and ideally a DAC when the right tools are fully formed. We're not at all pretending to say that, like, you know, we have the keys and it is the exact perfect plan. The cool part, and I think we're really trying to embrace sort of the EOS spirit, is not assuming you know the right answers and the perfect, you know, code and the perfect way to structure it and the perfect formulas right away, but having either an ecosystem or adapt so that when a better idea comes, you can implement it really fast. Or, you know, you're just at least be willing to implement better ideas. So I had a conversation with someone today in Telegram, and he had a good idea. I was like, man, any ideas you have that are good or criticisms, like share them. You know, I mean, I may not agree with you or I may, but we're completely open to hearing stuff, because at the end of the day, you know, this isn't like an app that, you know, we're going to own and we're going to run this ad revenue and monetize people and keep that revenue. Like, everything is going to stay within, you know, a circular ecosystem, and it's going to continue to fund itself, you know? And so everybody owns it, right? If you're a token holder and you have an account, you know, you're an owner in the platform. So sort of like, and like I said, we can talk about this later, but with the ambassadors, what we're trying to do with that is really, you know, make a fun competition for people who want to be an owner in the platform and take action now before the app is out, and go out and do really good stuff. And so we can talk about that later, but I know you mentioned the use cases. Sorry for rambling, but
no, it's good. I love it. It's good. Keep going.
But yeah, so this is something I definitely think that's going to change, a lot over time, right? New use cases will come about, and other ones will seem maybe less important. But as a base minimum, right? And again, this is something I read from Dan. So when you have these, because karma at the end of the day is technically a social network, right? It's a network, it's a fabric, sort of a spider web, and you're being social, you're out in society, right? So it's a social network. So a very important aspect of that is when you have your tokens, staking more tokens gives you a stronger vote. So that, and this was a quote from Dan, but he said that alone in Steem, it establishes a base demand for the token, right? Because when you have cloud and influence, and you can like somebody's post and know that, like, whenever they see the results of that like, they're going to be like, what, and get really excited. That's a really cool thing. And so some people are going to have that early, and some people are going to strive for that. So ideally, in a perfect world, that maintains, demand for the token, right? So that's sort of obviously one obvious use case, right? Beyond that, just so people know, if you like somebody's post, what you're actually doing is casting a vote to where some of the newly created karma in that reward pool for that day is actually going to flow. So I can like your post and you can receive karma without me having to give you mine. But the cool part is there'll be an in-app wallet. So if I really thought what you did was awesome, I'm going to send you more karma, right? And so, like, for me personally, obviously, trying to really help lead the project and whatnot, I'm not going to keep any karma I earn through the app. I want to keep giving that out to people and keep doing that. So I'll never keep any karma that I earn through the app. That's my plan. I don't think I've said that yet, but I think for me, I'm going to make that commitment. Beyond that, right? I mean, all these things are, tokens that have value. And luckily, being an EOS-based token, you sort of have the same benefits of almost what EOS has, right? So I think another use case for karma could sort of be, payments to each other, right? You can send value digitally to each other. That's another obvious one, right? Like I said, tipping and donating beyond just the vote, that's a cool part. Like I said, we mentioned earlier, staking karma for a stronger upvote. The very initial version, the MVP, won't have this, but we've got a ton of plans for later versions, which, like I said, we can definitely go into what some of the ideas we have are now, and maybe even brainstorm some. But what we want to do is allow people to sort of promote posts so that it gets seen more, or I can maybe even like promote your post if I think it's awesome, right? And spend karma so that it sort of gets more eyes on it, right? So more people see it. So that's something that won't be in the first version, but definitely we want to be in later versions. And that money spent to promote that post can go towards staking rewards. It could go towards easing inflation. It could be burned. It could go towards developers. There's a number of different things it can go to. So again, we want like the community's input as to where all that's going to go, right? Beyond that, I think longer term, if the community wants it, I think traditional sort of advertising would be cool. Ideally, we'd want like all socially conscious businesses to run advertisements on there. And again, that they'd have to pay for those advertisements and those the impressions in karma, to which that karma would go back into the pool, into the community, which would be awesome. Another sort of thing we were thinking about, so imagine you're kind of on the karma app, and a lot of times, like these natural disasters, right? You're just like hanging out with buddies, and you get like the ticker on your phone, and you're like, oh man, this hurricane in Houston. So we want to have something. This is, obviously this idea is not 100% thought through, because we want to have all the right things in place to make sure everything goes where it should go. But basically, imagine you see a ticker at the top, right? And it's like, flood in, whatever city. And you can, like, if it so choose, to donate your karma that you earned that day to that relief, or send it right there directly to it. And then that karma would obviously go to another wallet, and then ideally either an ambassador or, somebody, because again, all this stuff is on the blockchain. All of these transactions are, traceable. We know where the money goes, which is kind of your earlier point about a lot of the wasted funds in charity. You don't really know where it goes once it leaves your house. And ideally people can like help fund relief, through the app, and then we can like verify that those funds were used to help people out, which would be really cool. So that's some of the use cases, but go ahead.
All right, let me take that off, buddy. It's just funny because you brought up something that was pretty close to me. You mentioned like the disasters, and coming from Canada, like we get a ton of snow sometimes, right? Occasionally a power pole goes down, or this happens or that happens. But we've been in Costa for about a year, and right when we first moved in, you see all these things on the news all the time. You see all these disasters go down, and I think like typically speaking, it's easy to feel for the people, but you just got this emotional distance. And we were here for the hurricane last year, and when I really got to see firsthand what kind of devastation happens to a bunch of people who don't have the same type of resources to be able to react like we do in North America, I was blown away. I mean, like people who had nothing but a shack with their entire homes wiped down the river. And you know, we got to go out and do some things. I'm not here to, you know, try to brag about it or anything, but it's funny because you can
try to get some karma.
Yeah, well, you can associate yourself from it, man. And when things happen in Canada and the US, it's an absolute travesty. But when things happen to people who don't have the same access to infrastructure or to funds, it's bad, man. And I think the one thing that really attracts me to karma, and this is like the one thing that I really actually I like about it a lot, is that it's like, I always feel like it's like that kind of app that my mom's going to call me up and be like, oh, I'm using karma. Like people don't even know, people who aren't into blockchain are going to see this as a massive opportunity to.
You're exactly that was the next thing I was going to bring up, funny enough, is and you hit it right on the head. And you know, again, who knows if you and me are both right. I think we are, but I really think that karma will have a chance to be, you know, sort of the first blockchain dApp that can go mainstream, that people won't even know they're using a blockchain dApp. And, you know, again, like I think you and I talked about this on a call we had, but, you know, it's like everyone likes to be incentivized, right? Everyone likes that, or likes rewards. There's no one who doesn't like that. And everyone likes the feeling you get when you make somebody else happy. So that's sort of the whole core of the app itself, right? And like you mentioned, your mom, right? I could definitely see my mom using this, and it would be, and it's going to be really user friendly too. That from the interface, I think you had made some comments to me a couple of days ago or so about the UI and the UX of how the designs look, but we really wanted to make it really simple, man, so that, you know, again, you don't feel like you're on, you know, my Ether wallet and you don't know which of the 48 buttons to click, and you feel like you're gonna, you know, blow up a bomb if you click the wrong button. You know, it's got to be easy to use and user friendly. It's such an important aspect of something to gain mainstream adoption, I think. So,
and I think I never really considered it too much. Like I'd seen it, but having the wallet feature and able to kind of use it as a method to transfer funds is also extremely cool. And then I also know you mentioned briefly, and I checked it out in the white paper, that possibility of using it to actually be able to buy goods from socially conscious. There's a dog going crazy there. The possibility actually, nuts, man, but he's my homie. The possibility to buy goods from like socially conscious merchants, so people will actually be able to exchange karma for the good deeds that they're doing for goods, right? I think that's really cool too. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, you know, obviously since, I mean, a lot of people don't know, but like we only really started this not even 3 months ago. Like that's kind of the crazy part. Like it's only been, like it went from idea to, you know, me sitting here with you right now, and it's been maybe 10 weeks, 12 weeks or something like that. It hasn't been long at all. So we've been trying to do, you know, everything a mile a minute. And that's one of the most important things, I think, right? So, you know, obviously, you know, it's amazing to have something of value, right? You can pass it back and forth. But what I think is gonna be really cool is if it can just be, you know, really ingrained into people's days, right? And I think you'd probably agree with me that I don't think there's going to be, you know, just one cryptocurrency that is the only one used and the whole world only uses that one thing. It just seems crazy. I think we're really heading toward abundance and really monetizing every aspect of like people's and just human movement and everything people do throughout their day. And so yeah, that's a really important aspect. So what we're doing actively right now is reaching out to a lot of businesses that we think, you know, either make great products for people that, you know, are going to make you smarter, healthier, feel better, or, you know, really a business like there's a business called Tentry that we're talking to. And basically, yeah, and I think everything you buy, they plant 10 trees. Like that's really cool, right? So, you know, and I think all these things, it's still so new, a lot of these things, right? But it'll be a really easy thing not very long from now, I imagine, to, you know, have just a widget on a website, right? So where you can pay with Karma or an EOS-based token or you know, whatever, pick your poison, whatever you want. But really, I think that'd be a really cool aspect. And just, you know, I think it's a good thing when people with good intentions try to work together. So that's kind of the bigger, you know, thing to all that. So you hit it right on the head. Yeah, I think that's a really important aspect if people can spend it in good places, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I like Karma for a bunch of different reasons. I like it because it's socially conscious. I think a lot of people right now are underestimating this app in a big way because it's, like I said, it's the kind of thing that's it's going to do good in the world. It's going to afford opportunity to people who might not have the same opportunity, and they're going to be able to do it in a way that's like socially conscious and in a way that's going to make some change. And not only that, you're covering a lot of bases right now. Like, you're building a lot of things in there, and a lot of different reasons for somebody just like me, you, my mom, kids. Like, how do you see the target market playing out? What are you thinking for user base, honestly?
Yeah, honestly. So we sort of have a progression, right? So what we're gonna really go after first, and I think it's, oh wow, that's so loud. Oh my God. I don't know if you heard that, but sorry about that. So initially, right, I think it makes the most sense because, obviously Karma was an airdrop, and the reason I think an airdrop's valuable is because instantly you have, a lot of token holders, right? So the network effect of these tokens, protocols, all these things is much more important than just raising a bunch of money and having, a few hundred people hold your token in the beginning. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the long term. So we really want to go after blockchain people already, right? The EOS community. I think that's going to be the very first start. And the reason why partly is because certain tools are still being developed to really make the user experience like as easy as, any other app like Instagram, whatever app that people, use 10 times a day. Those tools are almost finished. Like, very soon. We're talking, probably, weeks or like a couple months at the most, definitely not like years or 6 months, right? So we want to go after the blockchain people first. And then I think we want to have sort of two different approaches going for sort of the younger crowd, and then kind of going after, your mom, my mom, and that generation. I think everyone, I think you and I talked about this on the phone, was I could see different people really getting something different out of it, which is cool, right? Like, if you're, a single mom and you're, lucky enough to, or not single mom, I'm sorry, but if you're a stay-at-home mom and, lucky enough to not have to work, you can just, do cool stuff all day. And if you wanted, you can give that karma to people and help them out. Or, if you're that kid in Medellin, you maybe use it as a way to, help people out and be able to, put food on the table and different things. So I think everyone's going to use it sort of in their own way. So for me, I think that's really cool. It can kind of be whatever you want it to be, I think.
I love it. I love it for a couple of reasons. Number one, as we kind of talked about, in a lot of places where resources are scarce, a lot of people, believe it or not, tend to have cell phones. They tend to have access to this kind of thing. They might not have access to a PC or to, the newest and greatest, iMac or iPad, but phones tend to be a little bit more affordable in these countries, and the service is substantially cheaper. And I think that that's huge too. But I'd really love it.
Being developed iOS and Android at the same time, just so you know. I don't know if everybody knows that, but both versions are almost done for iOS and Android. So we didn't want to alienate either side,
You bet, man. No, I'm really stoked. I think it's going to be cool. I'm interested in it. I think you're onto a great thing. I think it's got a ton of use cases. I'm personally hoping that a lot of people are going to, people kind of like you said, like single mom, she's doing okay, she's doing well, but she wants to do something good. It's a way to fund bigger movements too. And that's what I really like about it. That's one of the aspects that I like about it. It's fun, it's easy to use. It looks like a simplified version of Airbnb. I like the design. Honestly, man, I like the way you've laid it out. I like the way you've kept it fun, engaging, and like I said, it's just one of those apps that I know someday my mom's going to call me up because she loves stuff like this, as do I. She's going to call me up. She's going to say, yeah, I'm using this new app. And it's super approachable, man. And I think that blockchain, EOS need more of that approachability, that you're using these apps. And you wouldn't, if you don't know what blockchain is and it says token, you're going to assume that a token is a token. You're not really going to make the connection. It's approachable and it's cool. Yep. And it's some good intentions behind it. And I think you're working on a lot of really, really big stuff in the background. So, man, I'm stoked for you. Like, I'm excited. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. I think it's going to be good. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, man. So I just wanted to tell you.
I think it's one of those things, man, that, in the world we live in today, right? Again, like you and I touched on earlier that, I think generally speaking, most people are good people and have good intentions, but for some reason, right? We're not so far removed from sort of living in, tribes or smaller communities and not having like a lot of the luxuries that we take for granted today, right? And so I think a lot of marketing takes advantage of that, with whether it's news and media and a lot of things. And a lot of times they play to those human, I don't know if it's emotions or characteristics or whatever you want to call it, but there's so few things in life that whenever you go to it, it's going to be positive and inspiring, like there's not that many things I can think of like that, right? There's maybe a few influencers I listen to, or, you know, maybe a show I like or something like that. But I think to have an app, right, that could be in everybody's pocket all the time. And if you're not, you know, if you're feeling down, right? I think a lot of people say this, like when you're depressed, like the best thing to do is to go like help other people, right? So if that gets you out of that, like, you know, the worst of the worst mood that you may be in, you know, it's probably that what actually makes us happy at the core of everything. So I think if it can be one of these, you know, rare places where you flick on the app and everything you're going to see, you know, is going to be positive and fun and kind of make you like, you know, appreciate life. Like that's cool. I think that doesn't really exist. Definitely not on the level that I think Karma could take it to right now. I don't think that exists.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you right now, man, like I'm here and I've seen it. And like I said, I think a lot of people kind of looked at it and they, you know, okay, there's going to be massive abuse. I think you've done really well with some of the arbitration tactics that you put in, and also the downvote button in order to be able to negate a lot of that, to make sure that the things that are being done are legitimate. It's not just an application, man. It's a full social media content platform, right? And I know that you have plans to integrate that with other platforms as well. I don't know. Good job, man. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. You know, like I'm excited for you. I'm excited for Karma. And it's just the things that really interest me in this market, the things that really grab my attention are the things that have potential to create change. You know what I mean? Yeah. And this is one of those things that has potential to create change. So I think it's a wicked idea. I'm really excited about it. I think that everybody should go check out your website, cruise through the white paper, and keep an eye on what you're doing, man, because it's cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And I think for anybody who wants to get involved a little bit more, you know, join the Telegram group. I'll give you the link so you can post it below. And if someone wants to be an ambassador, you know, basically what's going to happen right now, so leading up to the app, right? So to the release, basically, you know, there's a marketing budget set aside. And, you know, really, again, like it's all this started as a grassroots type of thing, right? So what we want to do is incentivize, you know, ambassadors and community members before the app comes out, because it's not long for the app to come out. It'll probably be a couple of weeks or so, and we should have the first version out, which would be great. Obviously, we want to test it, make sure there's no issues with it, because, you know, these things have to work and they got to work good. But of course, we want to incentivize, you know, ambassadors or anybody in the community to actually like go out and make the kind of content that is going to be in the app. And we have tons of examples of ambassadors who've already made videos. And you know, we want to give people karma for doing that. And I think people will be pretty excited about the amount of karma they'll get. And it's, you know, from the marketing budget. I think we want to use, you know, those materials because they're real, like actually people going out in the world and doing real things to show more people, hey, like this is what's possible with the app, and you know, showing them kind of how to do it. So if anyone's interested in that, join the Telegram group, check the website out. The white paper, there'll probably be some changes over the next few days. There are a couple of things like that we just thought might be a little bit better, and you know, we'll get people's feedback from there. But you know, like I said, stay up to date. Website, Telegram, that's where everything's at. So, thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me on, though, bro. I really do.
Honestly, I'm honored to have you on, man. You know, I've watched your stuff for a long time. I think you're great. I think your attitude is good. I think what you're doing here is really good, and I think you're about to bring some serious. I think you're about to bring some people who wouldn't normally use blockchain to blockchain, and I think you're about to do it on EOS, and that's why I love it, man. So just keep fighting the good fight. We'll keep in touch, man. Keep me updated. And hey, man, I don't know what else to say. Like, good job. I think this is going to surprise a lot of people.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hey, come out to Colombia, or I'll come out to Costa Rica, and we can go out in the streets and help some people out. It'd be kind of fun, and make some content for the app. If you want to do that, it'd be kind of fun.
I'd be all over that, Dallas, man. Anytime, anywhere. Let me know, and we'll set it up.
Awesome, man. Thank you, bro. It's been a pleasure. I'd love to come on again, maybe once the app comes out, or if, you know, maybe we have some big announcements that are coming up, and maybe to talk about some of that stuff. So but whenever you want to have me on again, let me know.
You bet, my friend. You're welcome anytime. Thanks for even coming on. It's super cool, man. I believe in what you're doing. I think you're a good guy. I think you have good intentions. And I think that this is going to surprise a lot of people. So keep fighting the good fight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay. See you, Dallas.